Hello YouTube, and welcome to David Hasselhoff's Retro Game Reviews. And this week I'm going to be reviewing one of my all-time favourite consoles, and it is the Sega Saturn. I absolutely love this machine. It's really underrated, and I like to think that now people are starting to realise just how underrated the Saturn and Dreamcast was. Well, I mean, it came out during the 5th generation of consoles. It sold a total of about 9.5 million. It originally came out in Japan in '94, and pretty much within a year the rest of the world. So let's have a closer look at the machine. Okay, on with the system. As you can see, it's a top loader. Look at that, Nights into Dreams. Oh yes. I like the machine. I mean, it's quite big, but I like the size. You know, it's quite sleek. And the good thing about all Sega consoles is they are well made. I mean, this is... God, it's got to be at least 16 years plus old. It's still working in good condition. I mean, could you say that about the Xbox 360 10 years from now? They're all going to be dead. And this thing's quite interesting, actually, because the machine had the ability to keep the time of day, and it also had the ability to save your games internally. But unfortunately, though, you need a battery inside it, otherwise anything you save just goes dead. And it also had an expansion port for an MPEG card. The idea was that the problem with this machine is it didn't have sort of video decoding capabilities, which is why the main reason why the cutscenes in Saturn games don't look anywhere near as good as PlayStation games. But there was a decoder card, and there was even some games that actually did get improved FMVs because of it. This is the memory expansion port. This could be used for putting in sort of memory cards, because the machine only had so much inbuilt memory, and the problem was, if after a year you need to change the battery, if you took the battery out, boom, you lost everything. So if you're a Saturn collector, a memory card of some kind is absolutely vital. You need one. And I recently just got myself one of these. This is really cool. It's a memory card, plus it's got the RAM expansion for 4 megabyte and 1 megabyte, and I can play import and play cheats. Goes in like that. Pretty duty. Okay, here's some of the controllers. This is the second version of the controller, and I prefer this one much better. I mean, it's perfect, not too big, not too small, really comfortable to hold. It's got a lovely D-pad. And this was another controller they released, and it is, from what I've read, the first controller with analog stick capabilities. This was actually on the market I think it was about 2 or 3 months before the N64 ones was. And this is a must-have for Nights into Dreams. Plus there was quite a few games it was compatible with as well. And if you notice, this looks rather similar to the Dreamcast controller, other than the fact you've got an extra 2 buttons here and the VMU slot missing. It is pretty much identical. Okay, on with some of the games. These are the ones I have in my current collection. Tomb Raider, absolute must-have. Die Hard Trilogy. Max TT Superbike, really cool game. Virtua Fighter 2. Every Saturn needs one of these. Same with this. Gameplay, fantastic. Graphically, it could have been slightly better. I mean, from what I read, this game was rushed to get in release for the machine. this is an absolute wicked game. It's simple, but the physics are fantastic, and it's just really playable, and it's so much fun to play. This is a cool game. It came out towards the end of its life, but it is a really good game. Good graphics and a great soundtrack. This is a fantastic Sonic compilation. Definitely makes up for the fact that there was no true 3D Sonic game, but this is really cool. I definitely recommend it. Sonic the controls are just really horrible, but got it cheap, and I figured might as well have it in my Saturn collection. Whoops. Street Fighter Alpha 2, awesome. Simply awesome. This is a brilliant game. It's a shame it never came out on any other consoles, but if you're a Saturn fan, you can get a hold of this. Get a hold of it. It's just an absolute brilliant game. Resident Evil, Saturn, must have. And my pride and joy, Panzer Dragoon trilogy. I've got Panzer Dragoon, brilliant game. Sequel, awesome, and the pride of my collection, Panzer Dragoon Saga. This is such a rare game. I mean, there's literally only about I think 200,000 copies in the world. I think it's even less than that actually. It was literally one of the last few games to be released for it. And Clockwork Knight 1 and 2, both absolute brilliant games. I would definitely recommend them. And my all-time favourite game for the system, Nights into Dreams. We didn't get a Sonic, but this is just as good, maybe even better. Definitely recommend it. This is one I just literally got, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. Okay. The real question is, why did it fail? There are a number of reasons. I mean, one, I think the Sega CD and the 32X did not help at all. When you think about it, you bought these pieces of hardware, they were never supported properly, and they got dropped. Which means if you spent the money, you just got totally burned. Another reason is the launch day. Like with most consoles, you have a launch day. Developers create titles for the launch day, and you launch it. To be clever, they thought that they'd have a date, but then they would actually have it out long before the date came around. The problem with that is, most of the shops that wanted the machine couldn't get it, and developers who were developing games found that they were finishing off the games, and the system was already out. So they were trying to develop games for the launch date, when in fact the machine was already out, and it really pissed off a lot of developers, and they never forgave them for it. And when the machine was discontinued early, EA just was so angry, they refused to work with Sega ever again. The main reason why you never had any EA games on the Dreamcast, or any sports games. Another reason is the hardware. Originally it was designed to be a Super 2D machine, with some 3D capabilities. And when they found out about the PlayStation, it was retooled in a hurry, wasn't really efficient as it should have been, and it added in the second CPU. But the problem with that is, at that particular point, people were just not used to developing with multiple cores. They were used to developing with one core. It's the way it's always been, pretty much up until this generation of console gamer. And in the last, 5 years plus, computers as well. And another thing about it is, normally when it comes to hardware, you try to find ways to save money. They couldn't do it with the Saturn, so in the end they decided to call it a day. They were going to gradually wind it down, and then roll out the Dreamcast. And what did Bernie Stoller do? At E3, he says that Sega Saturn is not our future. They couldn't even let it go out with dignity. It's a shame the way it ended. It should have had a great end, but unfortunately it just... oh well. But all that aside, this is such an awesome underrated machine. I would really recommend it. You can pick up on eBay pretty cheap. You can pick up most of the games pretty reasonable as well. I would definitely recommend it, and it definitely gets the David Hasselhoff thumb of approval. I want to thank you all for watching. Until next time, peace out.